Let's call to order the February 3rd Bicycle Trailways Pedestrian Advisory Committee meeting. The Palm Beach TPA is conducting this meeting both in person and virtually using the Zoom webinar platform. Instructions to join the virtual meeting as well as contact information for assistance are provided in the published meeting agenda. Staff, please call the roll to establish quorum.
So at this time, I'm only asking those BTPAC members attending in person to respond by saying here when I call your name. And then alternates, if you can please state your name if you're here on behalf of a representative. And as a reminder, the button on the base and the red light indicates that it's on. And if you can please pull the microphones closer so that we can get you. If you have a mask on, it's easier to hear you. So Tracy Phelps.
Here.
Bruce Rosenzweig.
Here.
Craig Pinder. Ted Goodenough, it will be absent. Joanna Peluso.
Here.
Joanne Scaria.
Here.
Fadi Nassar.
Here.
JC Berry. David Willock.
Here.
Jean Matthews.
Here.
Yash Nagal.
Here.
Michael Owens. Christian
here.
Santa Gonzalez. John Roach.
Here.
Larry Wallace. Brian Rusher.
Here.
Stephanie Thoburn.
Here.
We have a quorum in person, Madam Chair.
Great, thank you.
Did
Are
you
there
all hear
any-
me? I don't know. I'm
Yes,
sorry.
Michael, yes, I'm sorry. Your
Okay.
attendance won't count until just in a second.
Oh, okay.
Are there any modifications to the agenda?
Yes, Madam Chair, and Michael is on virtually. He did ask permission to participate remotely. The school district is still experiencing staff shortages, so is in person. He's not able to come in person as he's required to be in his office at this time.
Are there any objections from the committee to allow Mr. Owens to participate remotely? No objections. So seeing none of these, Michael, you're approved to participate remotely. Please note
Thank
their
you.
attendance. Are there any changes to the minutes on the next item for December 2nd? That was the last time we were here last year. If not, can I have a motion to adopt the minutes?
Motion to adopt the minutes is presented.
Okay, I have a
That's it.
motion by Brian. Do I have a second?
Second.
Michael, is that you?
Yeah, that's me.
Okay. And seconded by Michael. Are there any discussions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Okay, unanimous for approval of the minutes. So the next agenda item are general public comments and comments on the agenda items. As a reminder, there are 3 ways to provide public comment. Written comments may be submitted online on the website provided in the agenda. Verbal comments may be made by a virtual attendee using the raise hand feature in the Zoom platform, and verbal and written comments may be provided in person. Submitting a comment card at the welcome table, which is at the back. Are there any general comments that we've received for public?
No, Madam Chair.
Okay, so then we can move on. Okay. So anybody have any comments for today before we get started? I wanted to start with everybody else. Anybody? Brian?
I know it's probably going to come up during an item later, but I just wanted to see a show of hands. Who all is going to the Safe Street Summit? We got 2, 3, 4. Okay,
Oh, that's
great.
good.
Good. It's good to, we'll go in as like a committee. It'd be nice to get a picture maybe at the Safe Street Summit if we can get that organized from Melissa. Just wanted to let the committee know Delray Beach passed its Vision Zero proclamation on Tuesday night. So Delray Beach is now a Vision Zero community. We'll be working on getting a Vision Zero action plan going. And then lastly, I wanted to congratulate Ms. Frank. Don't you have a substantial life event coming up in the near term?
Yes.
And what was that?
So a week from today, I actually am getting married.
So congratulations. Ms. Frank.
Congratulations. Oh, I mean, best wishes.
Wishes.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's all.
Thank you. Anybody else? That's fun. That's great, actually, the Vision Zero for Delray. Joanna,
I just want to say, because I wasn't sure if it was going to be on the liaison report, but we have a walk audit planned with the town in Pine Garden South. So I'm sure Stephanie will share about that. But we also have one planned for the Limestone Creek community, which is an unincorporated community in Jupiter. And what we're really excited about is that it will be at night from 5 to 7. So because that community is really dealing with a lot of lighting at night concerns. And for us, that's important for access to physical activity, but also, general safety. So we're really appreciative that the TPA kind of changed some of their policies and agreed to do a nighttime walk audit based on the community's request in the Limestone Creek area. So thanks so much.
Great. Is there anybody else? Any comments? One comment that I wanted to make was I was really excited to hear, and it's just in the planning stages, but Jupiter FDOT is doing what they call an improvement project at the intersection, at the I-95 interchange and Indiantown Road, which is where most of Indiantown Road is failing. And they had excluded previously any bicycle pedestrian facilities. But this week I got an email saying we're excited. They're getting ready to plan for a multi-use path, it appears, right now on the south side of Indiantown Road, which will finally connect Riverbend Park and the Lake Trail to the east, where we have bike facilities, and so you'll be able to get to the beach and take the bike lane and use the river walk. And that was a huge missing link. Now they're only doing it on one side, which is okay. We'll take it for now. But I just wanted to, say that, if we all work together and we're all diligent, we'll get those things that we need. This is a huge link that is missing. So for us, I just wanted to thank FDOT. Okay, and then the next item is the liaison report. So Alyssa's going to share that with us.
Morning, everyone. It's great to see so many faces in person. Thanks for coming. And if you're not in person, thanks for joining us online. I'm going to run through the liaison report quickly. First up is FHWA is seeking agencies to participate in a safe system pilot project. This pilot project could be a review of an existing or proposed project, policies, or procedures with a safe systems lens. The deadline for this application is February 11th, so next Friday. More information is available at the link provided in the liaison report. The next TPA governing board meeting will be held on February 17th at 9 a.m., both in person and virtually. To review the agenda packet and meeting details, please visit our website. We also have it going to be live, both on YouTube and on our website, and that link is available as well. This was already touched on, but the Safe Streets Summit is coming up soon. It is going to be in a couple of weeks in Miami. It's going to be February 17th and 18th. The 17th is going to be a day of mobile workshops. The 18th is going to be the main conference day. This year's theme is resilient and adaptive streets. If you have not registered yet, please do so. If you're interested in it, the information to do so is available on our website. As everyone knows, we do administer 3 competitive grant programs here at the TPA. The application deadline for this year is February 18th, so 2 weeks from tomorrow. This is for funding for projects located within Palm Beach County, and information is available online. If you guys have any questions, please reach out to me or Connor Campobasso or Jason Price from my office. The LCB, or Local Coordinating Board, is in need of a couple members, specifically representative for children at risk. The LCB is our board that focuses on the disadvantaged population, specifically older adults, persons with disabilities, persons of low income, and children at risk. If you are interested in this or know someone who might be, please contact me or visit our website and we will be more than happy to assist. On that note, actually, the LCB is also going to be hosting their annual public workshop on February 23rd at 3:30 p.m. This is immediately following our quarterly meeting. This is a great opportunity to learn about Palm Connection service and provide input about how to improve the service for the users. More information is available on our website. And again, if you have any questions about that, feel free to reach out to me. We are also going to be hosting a webinar with our political advocacy experts, Holland and Knight, on March 1st from 2 to 3 p.m. to learn about the transportation impacts of the infrastructure law, how it is being implemented, and how to apply for funding. Information, including the registration link, is available on our website. And that link is also provided in the liaison report. The U.S. Department of Transportation announced about $1.5 billion in the 2022 grant cycle for the Rebuilding American Infrastructure with Sustainability and Equity, or RAISE discretionary grant program. Applications are due April 14th, 2022. More information is available on their website, and that link is also provided in the liaison report. The National League of Cities launched its first Safety First Challenge to build a coalition of 100+ cities and towns who want to join the safety movement by taking steps in their communities. More information is available at the link provided in the liaison report, but this would be a great opportunity for some of our local agencies to explore. We have still not received completed media release forms from all of the Tpa committee members. This form is going to assist the TPA in creating photo and video highlights of work and accomplishments of our board and committees outside of scheduled meetings. This form can be downloaded on our website, and if you have not yet completed this, please do so and send it over to Amanda Williams from our office. And then lastly, we have still not received all committee member responses to our TPA Committee Census update. This collects members' race, sex, and age. The data is actually going to help us in tracking committee diversity in accordance with state statute. If you have not yet taken this survey, please do so. The link is also available in the liaison report. That is it for me.
Okay, were there any questions or comments for Alyssa on her report? Jean?
Will you reach out to people who haven't? I don't remember whether I did the forms or not. It's been a long time.
So we generally reach out directly to the ones that we're still missing. And then if you do have forms on in front of you in the dais, it means we're missing it from you all.
Okay. All right, great. Quick question. What does LCB mean?
So LCB is short for Local Coordinating Board. The full name of this committee is the Transportation Disadvantaged Local Coordinating Board.
Thank you. I do recall you saying that now. Anybody else? Any other questions or comments for her report? Okay, so then the next item, our first item on the first action item on the agenda is the amendment number 3 to the TPA's fiscal year 2022 through 2026 Transportation Improvement Program. And Jason Price, the TPA TIP coordinator, is going to present this item to us. Thank you, Jason.
Just need to get the clicker for the. Sorry for the delay. Good morning, everyone. So today I'll be presenting amendment number 3 to the Transportation Improvement Program. There's a total of 7 projects as part of this amendment. One is the deletion of a project at the request of the town of Jupiter, and there is 6 projects to be added to the Transportation Improvement Program at the request of FDOT. As a reminder to the group, this is an action item, and this will require a vote at the end of the presentation. And why an amendment is needed is there's certain cases that require an amendment to change the Transportation Improvement Program. And in this particular case, it's when projects are either added or deleted to the Transportation Improvement Program. And that's what's happening here today. As well, only the projects that I'll discuss and present as part of this amendment will be the projects affected by taking this action, and no other projects will be affected in the Transportation Improvement Program. That lists all of the projects that we track within the document. The first project to cover is the Indian Town Road from US 1 to A1A. This project is being deleted from the TIP document as at the request of the town of Jupiter. The town council had expressed concern with the overlapping schedule with this project and the US 1 Bridge Reconstruction Detour project. And the concern was with both of these projects happening concurrently, there was the risk of any delays of this project would further extend the bridge detour, which would negatively impact traffic. And with this, the town council did not approve the construction contract for this project, therefore having it, requesting it to be removed from the Transportation Improvement Program. The next project is an FDOT project that will be added to the TIP. And this particular project is for the design phase for wrong way driving detection at high priority locations along I-95 in Palm Beach County. There are several locations here listed on the screen, and those intersections are High Paluxo Road, Linton Boulevard, 45th Street, North Lake Boulevard, Palm Beach International Airport, Atlantic Avenue, the Belvedere Road Signal, and 10th Avenue North. Now, the last set of 5 projects are a collection of transit projects for funding for 2 private nonprofit organizations providing transportation services to either seniors or people with disabilities. The funding for these particular transit projects are from the Coronavirus Response and Relief Supplemental Appropriations Act, as well as the American Rescue Plan Act. The 5 projects listed here provide capital assistance to purchase transit vehicles or equipment for the May Volan Senior Center, as well as operating funds for both the May Volan Senior Center and Mactown. So that's all of the projects that are included in this TIP amendment, and I can take any questions as part of the discussion.
Does anybody have any? Oh, I see Bruce over here. Bruce?
Yeah, could you expand on what the wrong way detection system is and why it's needed?
Yes, from what I've learned from FDOT, they look at all of the intersections for the SIS network or on I-95, and at a statewide level, they identify all the high priority locations and then send them to the district for District 4. And then they go through the prioritization process of selecting these specific locations to address wrong way the potential for wrong way driving, of entering the highway the wrong way. And so this wrong way detection is to prevent that. And this is just the design funding for it. So there will be future funding for construction in years to come. But you may be asking, like, how does it work? Okay. I could only estimate of what it is from my previous experience of what it is. And typically when there is a on and off approach to an interstate, they're closely together. And so sometimes you could choose to turn into the oncoming traffic instead of the approach to the interstate. And so I believe that could be what I've understood it to be in the past, is when there's 2 approaches close together, one getting off the highway and one coming on the highway, you could be making a left turn in going the wrong way. And so this wrong way detection is an advanced warning detection of you're on the wrong approach getting on the interstate. But just that is my estimation of what this is. I have to look into exactly what it is, but that's what I've seen in the past in terms of of preventing that danger.
You envision some sort of signage or
Yeah,
flashing lights?
yes.
Warnings?
Because usually there's just a simple sign that says wrong way. if you happen to go on the, if you're going down the wrong approach to the interstate. And this would be just more advanced warning signs, flashing, yeah, just most likely both, like flashing warning signs that you're, to indicate and draw their attention to if they had missed that sign, that they're approaching the interstate the wrong way.
Fadi?
Do you know if it's gonna be some type of in pavement light? I know there's some light that will look one color in one direction, the other color, the other direction, or maybe some detection that will flash you a message.
I would have to get the details of exactly what it is. I've kind of estimated what it looks like, but this is just from my own personal experience of knowing what this is in other places, but I have to get the details from FDOT of what does it actually look like and what does it entail? Because it could be video detection of seeing somebody going the wrong way, but it could be in pavement like a loop detector as well.
Another question on Indian Town. The TIP is for 5 years. And I'm just wondering why wasn't the project kind of, maybe the construction year changed within this 5 years versus just being canceled?
Yes, I think because the bridge detour and the bridge detour is a multi-year project, the delay of the Indian Town Road project would take several years to delay, not just a single year. And the difficulty is finding a replacement to fill the gap for this particular project in the current year with another project in 2 or 3 years out that would be the equivalent amount of funds to easily replace one project with another project of the same amount of funds. And because this is fiscal year 22 funds, I don't think it's likely to find a project that is ready for construction several years out that could easily absorb these funds. And I'm sure they had these discussions to figure out how to preserve the project because it is a local initiatives priority project that we would like to see constructed, but it was at the request of the town of Jupiter to cancel the project. And so what I've learned from the other presentations with the technical advisory committee from their staff that was present was they'll come back and reapply for this project. So we'll see this project again, probably after the detour is completed, or they may find another source of funding to implement this project because they recognize it as an important facility to implement on their network, but it's just the concern was the overlapping. And
So if you, Fadi, that section of Indian Town Road is part of the detour. The town the FDOT is already starting the reconstruction. And that is a major route, US 1, and then people like to take the scenic route, A1A or US 1. And it would have literally been so disruptive for us. And we're doing bicycle pedestrian enhancements, but we do have existing bike lane, not bike lanes, but sidewalks, so people can still get around. And the project for the reconstruction, they're gonna, from what I understand in talking with the contractor, the US 1 bridge is in such disrepair, they're going to try to take it down one side and then the other. But if they, in the process, are taking down one side, they may have to take the whole thing down because it's in such bad shape with the vibrations and everything going on. So they're doing all these changes to alternate A1A to handle all that traffic, which is going right by my house. And and it's going to take 4 years.
Okay.
So that's really, you said it very eloquently, but I'm telling you, it's going to rip the town, unless people start taking the interstate.
And same, thank you.
Before we take another question, my colleague Connor would like to address the wrong way driving
Oh, great.
detection. He has more information, so.
Hi, good morning, everybody. Connor Campabasso with the Palm Beach TPA. So I just wanted to elaborate a little bit on the wrong way detection system. So typically the way they work, it's either camera, radar, or some kind of combination of those things that detects cars, entering the ramp on the wrong way. They'll typically start off, if they detect a car going the wrong way, they'll have like a flashing sign. It's typically red. You've kind of seen them before, but they'll have a flashing marker on them. And then if the car goes beyond that, it'll notify law enforcement, and also the adaptive boards that you see along the highway will also link into those. So that's how they typically work. Again, we can follow up with DOT and get the full details about how these specific projects are being implemented, but that's just kind of the general rundown of those.
Okay. Margie, are there any public? Oh, we have another one. I'm sorry, Tracy. You're on.
Yes, I was wondering why I think I know the answer because I did hear the word cis. So you're saying this is only at intersections with arterials that are cis roads?
For the wrong way detection.
Yeah.
Yes, it's only along I-95 at high priority locations, and those high priority locations were selected by the state DOT in central office. They kind of do a overall analysis of the whole, the entire interstate throughout all of the counties, and then they'll select the high priority locations and then
Okay.
send those to the district.
So it's not in particularly just only cis roads.
No, so when I say SIS, the strategic intermodal system, I'm just referring to I-95, not necessarily
Okay,
the
referencing
other
I-95, not
intersecting
that.
roads with the I-95.
It's just interesting why it stops at Linton, because I know a couple of years ago, we had a driver under the influence go the wrong way on Palmetto Park Road and kill 4 people. And or the wrong way on the southbound ramp. He went northbound on the southbound ramp on Palmetto Park and I-95. And I thought killing 4 people would be enough to have that interchange added to that. They could be doing something to 3B project. But I was kind of just wondering why Palmetto Park was not included in this list. I know that's not something you probably can answer, but I just wanted to make it.
I will make a note of that and follow up with DOT to ask them about that particular roadway, Palmetto Park.
Okay.
Is our FDOT person here on the committee?
Let's see.
No. Oh, you're FDOT? Okay, good. Maybe you can help.
Hi, I'm Wabette Hay. I think I'm supposed to be here. To answer that question, I am not sure why Palmetto Park was not one of the ones that were selected, but that's something that further investigation can figure out. They use an analogy when they were selecting the different areas that to put the one-way signals at. I'm not sure. I can't answer that question.
Okay.
That
Well,
wasn't done internally in our district, but it was done in central office.
hopefully you can find the answer and get back with us. It'd be good to know, like, what are the criteria in order to determine
Yes.
how
I'll double check
these.
with them and find out what the criteria are, and then I'll send it back to you.
Okay, great. Thanks.
No problem.
I'm sure DOT is aware of it because even though the guy who went the wrong way was over 2 times the legal limit of, he's suing the city, he's suing DOT, and probably suing the county too, since it's a county road. So it's not his fault, it's everybody else's fault. So I'm sure DOT is involved in the litigation going forward.
Gotcha. Okay, so Are there any more comments before we take public comment? No? Margie, are there any public comments on this item?
No, Madam Chair.
Okay, so then we need a motion to recommend adoption of the amendment number 3 to the TPA's fiscal year 2022 through 2026 tip. And then, oh, we've already discussed it. Got a motion?
This is Brian. Motion to recommend adoption of amendment number 3 to TPA's fiscal year 22 to 26 tip.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Fadi seconds. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, Madam Secretary, we can move on. That was unanimous. Okay, so the next item is the 2022 safety targets, and Andrew, TPA Deputy Director of Program Development, will present this item. And I just wanted to say good morning, Valerie, and congratulations. Nice to see you back since I saw you come in. Thank you. It's all right. Thanks. All right, Andrew, it's all you.
Great, thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'm here to present on the 2022 safety performance measures targets. I'm going to be going through both our roadway targets that we're required to set federally, and then also the Paratransit safety performance targets for 2022. So what are we required to measure? We're required to measure a lot of federal required performance measures and set targets for those that we then provide to the state and they provide to the federal government. You see the list on your screen: safety, bridge and pavement condition, other types of assets out there. The two that we're required to do annually is one, safety, and there's 5 measures for that. And then there's transit safety from Paratransit, so our transit providers. The other ones are updated every other year or every 4 years. We keep the data updated on our website, on our dashboard, but this is the time annually when we come to you all in February when we adopt our safety targets with all other updates as well for our performance measures, both federally and locally. So the first ones are our roadway safety targets. And we're required to measure 5 and set targets for those. Fatalities, the rate of fatalities per 100 million vehicle miles traveled, serious injuries, the rate of those, and then the combined total of non-motorized fatalities and serious injuries, so pedestrian bicycles. Just historically, how we set targets. Previously, we've adopted targets of 0 fatalities and serious injuries on our road network starting in 2018, and then we renewed that every year all the way to 2021. Why we chose that, we have adopted the Vision Zero principle here at the TPA. FHWA at the national level has also recognized that 0 fatalities on our roadways, nation's roadways, is the only acceptable goal. And FDOT has also moved towards that goal. So they have set their targets at 0 for 2018 all the way through 2021. We readopted our Vision Zero action plan with an update in 2021, this past year. And we're providing progress on that implementation of those actions annually during our strategic plan update, and that occurs in July. So I'm going to go through a series of slides that just show the graphs of how we're trending for roadway fatalities and serious injuries here in Palm Beach County, going from 2012 to 2021. I do want to make note that the 2021 data is preliminary, so these aren't official FDOT numbers. We have FDOT numbers that they provide to us for all the previous years that they do for the whole state. But for 2021, I pull those from Signal 4 Analytics, so you can see how we're doing in 2021. That data doesn't become finalized until later into this year. But as you see, there's a consistent climb for total fatalities in Palm Beach County year over year. And then you can see the 5-year moving average of those with that line graph. So going from in 2019, 174, and then increase in 2020, and then potentially also in 2021. And here's that same graph for total serious injuries. We do see a reduction in total serious injury crashes in these past few years. Hopefully that 2021 number doesn't climb too much higher than what it currently is at 886, but I imagine it'll probably end up around the 2020 number as well. But what we are seeing here is over the past few years, a decrease in total serious injuries, which is good to hear. And lastly, the total pedestrian and bicycle fatalities, serious injuries combined. We see a little bit slight of a decline in these past few years, which is good for those totals. But I did want to caveat on that is that when you look at the data based from fatalities and serious injuries, most of this is due to a decrease in total serious injuries on pedestrian bicycles. But the fatalities have actually risen a little bit year over year. So going into our recommendations for 2022 targets. You see on the screen here for 2022, for number of fatalities, rate, serious injuries, the rate, and then non-motorized fatalities and serious injuries. You can see the 2020 actual number there, and then our 2021 actual for what we have data for, and then our recommendation to set a standard of Vision Zero as the only acceptable target for 2022 again. And then I'm going to go into the Palm Trans safety targets. So these are ones set by Palm Tran, and they follow standards through the National Transit Database and FTA about how they are required to measure these. And they set their own individual targets, and they base theirs off of historical data of 4-year fiscal year trends. And so that's sort of how they come up with their more current target. But what they're required to report on and set targets for is by mode. And you can see the 7 target measures here. So fatalities, just like we do for roadways, but theirs is their rate is measured off of 100,000 vehicle revenue miles. So that's when it's out there in service. They do it on number of injuries. So that's total injuries, whereas the roadway one is just for serious injuries. So those that are incapacitating. This includes all injuries, the rate of those. Safety events and their rate, and then the average miles between mechanical failures. And they're required to set those for both modes: fixed route service, their bus service, and then Palm Tran Connection, their paratransit service. So that's 14 measures total that they're setting targets for. And I'm going to provide 2 detailed tables that sort of has a lot of data on there, but I'll go through it slowly for both fixed route and then the paratransit. So the first one is the historic numbers for Palm Tran for fixed route targets. So you can see those trends over time from 2018 to 2021. And then what their current target is, and then their new target. So their current targets, you see at the second to last column there, are they're renewing those targets for 2022. And the reason for that is that because of COVID trends and having a different service out there the past 2 years, they did see reductions in a lot of their fatalities and injuries and everything else. So they had a lot of improvements in that. But because those are off years from like more of an average trend, they didn't want to set new targets that were much lower than that. So, but they are improving in those, and they want to, obviously move towards zero with all of these as well. But you can see their new targets there based on their averages from the past few years. And I just wanted to point out some of the what we're seeing in 2021 numbers. They did have 1 fatality in 2021, but historically they typically trend without any fatalities. They had a reduction in number of injuries and the rate. Number of safety events went down and the rate. And then that was for fixed route. This is for paratransit service and their targets. It's the same setup for the table. A lot of reductions again in 2021 for continuing no fatalities. The rate stays the same with no fatalities, and then injuries going down, the rate, and also safety events as well. And again, you can see they're renewing their targets from 2021 to 2022. So keeping the same targets. Okay, that's all I have for you on those, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Before we go to questions, are there any public comments on this, Margie?
No, Madam Chair.
Okay, so John.
Just a
couple questions with regards to the data, because I think it differed from what you had sent us in advance. If you go to slide 9, which was the targets,
Slide 9.
uh,
This one?
yeah, this one is the same. You have 223 as being the actual non-motorized fatalities. But if you go to your chart on slide 8, the previous one, it looks like this was changed to 198.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, it should be 198. I apologize.
What was the change between what was sent to us?
An error in my table.
Okay.
And so it should be 198.
Okay. And then I also noticed on the Palm Tran targets that you added the less than or greater than, which I thought was a wise decision. You know, I think it came up in previous committee meetings as well as, you know, just setting a number of 63, for example. Is it good to be less than that or better, you know, higher than that or what have you? So it was nice to have that added in there. I think that was appropriate. So.
Fadi?
Yeah, the county, one of the process of summarizing the data for 2021 and just kind of for consistency. I know the data you showed, the fatalities, is it for ped and bike only? No motorcycle, no?
Non-motorized, correct.
How about if it's electric bike, electric scooter, would that be considered a bike?
I believe it's still considered a bicycle.
And how about if you have fatality, you know, on the freeway, somebody is fixing his car or in a private parking lot?
Private parking lots are not counted in the data. It's only in the public right of way. And then the person fixing their car would be considered a pedestrian.
Okay. And my last question, what is your source for the VMT?
So VMT it is also from FDOT. They release that annually. And so we use the numbers they have from the county. They have the statewide totals as well, but we get at the county level. And so they're the ones who calculate the rate of fatalities. And that's why you see on the screen right here, it isn't available for 2021 because we don't have a preliminary VMT from them.
So do you have one VMT for the county or do you exclude the freeways or do you have separate ones?
I would have to see, I'm not sure how they would get down to like local roads and all that. So I'm not sure specifically how that one's calculated.
Maybe later on, if you can just have a meeting, nice kind of to coordinate. So at least we'll be evaluating things with the same, you know, the same basis.
Sure, that'd be great. I'd love to hear if their VMT is appropriate. Obviously, we have to use their VMT for this calculation, but when it comes to like a preliminary VMT or how we're approaching that, definitely.
Okay, thank you.
Brian?
Just a quick question. Is the Go Glades service provided by Palm Tran included in the paratransit numbers? Maybe Yash. might
Yash,
have-
do you know?
It should not be included in that, but I'll let Christian answer that. Good, okay.
Just out of curiosity, because I was interested in those safety metrics as well.
Yeah, so Go Glades is a separate mobility on demand service. So you don't have to be an ADA passenger. ADA passengers go all on paratransit.
Thank you. And the reason I ask is simply because it's a transit service and transit typically safer, but you know, you never really know. So thank you.
Great. Okay, Bruce?
Yeah, I have two questions. First, in the miles between mechanical failures from 2018 to 2019, there was a significant increase between failures. Was some kind of measure instituted that bettered their record?
I'm gonna have to refer to Palm Tran if they have an answer or not.
Can you say that again? I couldn't hear your question.
Between 2018 and 2019, there was a significant increase in the miles between mechanical failures. I think it was 5,000 something up to 12,000 something. I was wondering if there was some kind of measure that was instituted that increased the, that caused that difference?
So unfortunately, I do not know the answer to that, but I'll let Christian answer if he knows, or we can follow up with you later with the information.
Okay, I was just, my thinking was if there was, maybe it could be done again.
Yeah, so the question was, for Christian, was why the improvement in miles between mechanical failures, almost, 9,000. Did you get new equipment? Did you get new vehicles? Is that what?
Yes. So just last year, we got 121 new paratransit vehicles. That was about 50% of the fleet. The county decided to buy the vehicles in 2015 when we took over. Our previous provider was MMMG, Metro Mobility Management Group. And we issue a new contract with two providers, which is MP Transportation and First Transit. And the county decided to, instead of having the provider provide the vehicles, buy the vehicles ourselves. So they were all bought at the same time, and they're now coming to the time that they need to be replaced. So half of them were replaced last year.
Okay. So there you go. New stuff doesn't break as much.
And just wanted to, about the Go Glades question, we currently don't report to the NTD, the Go Glades, because it's still considered a pilot program. We have come to the BCC a couple of times to bring this item for approval as a permanent service. We're expected to come back around March this year to bring it up. They're debating if the service should be in-source or outsourced, and they haven't made that final decision. So the NTD doesn't require us to report the service if it's still under a pilot category.
Did you have?
My second question?
Okay.
Is, if I'm reading this right, the pedestrian and bicyclist fatalities and serious injuries are lumped together. Is there a breakout for that?
There is. I don't have it in front of you today, and I can provide that in the future. But yes, there is a breakout of that.
Okay, we cyclists would be interested in knowing that, so.
Mhm. Yeah, they continue to provide the summary table lumped together, and we've requested not to have it that way. But we'll make sure we get it for you. So the thing about that is when details wise, I can provide it to you if I go and pull it myself, but it may not directly match the numbers they're providing that are like the official ones. That's why I wanted to make sure I get it from them, but I'll make sure I get that for you.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Is that all your questions, Bruce? Okay, so John.
Just want to have a little bit of a discussion as to what, and it's probably on the slide that you have here. Obviously, I'm a proponent of Vision Zero, and I think we should certainly be striving for zero fatalities and so forth. And, but the 3 years that we've adopted that, we've actually had an increase in the number of fatalities. So what are we doing, or what are we analyzing? Is it the 5-year trend that you've put on there to see whether we're going in the right direction? I mean, are we looking at it just from 1 year to the next? Are we looking at that rolling average? What types of statistics are we giving ourselves to, report back whether we're heading in the right direction?
It's a good question, and that's the official. Since we do Vision Zero here, but the official reporting is done at the 5-year rolling average level, and that's actually what you see as the line graph. There is the 5-year rolling average. So, for example, your 2021 there is going to be the previous 5 years from 2017. So that's because you do have up and down trends, and so you wanted to see the average overall. So that's sort of like why we want to show it both ways, and obviously move down year to year when we can. I guess what we're doing about it is really for implementation wise is how we're tackling with our Vision Zero action plan and trying to incorporate those actions and strategies, and that we do on a daily basis. And that's really the component of Vision Zero with our strategy, at least on the staff perspective from the TPA, is when we're going into how we design roadways or other types of transportation facilities from a safety first mindset. And I think the whole thing about Vision Zero there is to shift that focus and to fundamentally shift our approach to designing facilities. And so that's where the Vision Zero concept really comes in. So not having trade-offs between mobility and safety. It's really safety first.
Great.
I'm not sure if that answers your question totally, but
No, it does. I just, obviously, I would love if we could get to zero. The question, we just constantly have to be aware of how we're trending, and rather we're trending in the right direction as opposed to just looking at, okay, last year we missed our goal again, 2021, we missed our goal by 204, for example. Where it's more telling if you look at, I think it's the previous slide of, the 5-year average is going up. Well, go to just total fatality. Yeah. I think that's more concerning, not just that we missed our goal, but that the last 3, 4, 5 years we've missed our goal, so just being cognizant of that trend, I think, is important.
Wibbet, is that Wibbet Hay? Wibbet, welcome. You want to pull up your mic? It's all right.
Is it supposed
there
to-
you go. Yep.
Oh, perfect. So we at DOT has implemented the process of Target Zero. And with that, we have been doing a lot of different aspects in regards to trying to reduce the numbers of fatalities on the roadway accidents. And we actually have a pilot program that we're about to embark on. It's not in Palm Beach, but if Palm Beach is welcoming to the thought, we can add it to you with Palm Beach also. But we will be embarking on this process of putting some educational material on the buses, because a lot of times when we find that people get off of the bus, they walk right in front of the car, and that's how a lot of times fatality happens. So we're going to provide some educational material on the bus and behind the bus and on the wrap of the bus. So if Palm Beach is inclined, we can also roll it out up here also.
It's a great idea. Is there anybody else? I want to ask a question. Andrew, I think this kind of following up on your discussion of us trending up, John. What is the cause? I mean, I think the numbers are very helpful, but what is the cause of those numbers trending up? Why is it happening? Is there a correlation between the amount of traffic on our roads? How do those things compare to previous years? So, having the numbers I think are good, but having some analysis of why it's happening, it doesn't have to be, as far as for the advisory boards, having that information, is it because there's a lot of people driving instead of taking transit? Do we need to increase multimodal options? What is it? What is it that we can, guess on based on the data that we have? And then generally, because I mean, I think this data is good, but how are we using it? And are we using it appropriately so that we can get to Vision Zero? And start pushing that agenda of, okay, we want to be Vision Zero, but we had 204 fatalities. And you hear of, the serious injuries that I just heard of from Joanna today, that someone we know, was hit on a bike. And then you're like, well, wait, what happened? Why did that happen? We have facilities on that road. And, so getting at some of that meat of the effects, the cause and the effects, I think would make our job as this safety committee more valuable if we had a little help for that. So, and that sounds great, Wabette, on trying to do this pilot project. More education is what I think a lot of people need. And I also think it starts early on with like school children as well. So having programs in the schools. Was there anybody else? Oh, John?
Well, just on that note, one correlation that I'd be intrigued for you guys to look at is, serious injuries went down, but fatalities went up. So the question is the number of accidents the same, but now more of those accidents are more fatal? Or is it that the number of accidents were increased, so just that relationship between, someone being injured versus someone, dying as a result of the accident. What's that relationship there and in relation to the numbers of total incidents, I guess?
Yeah, and just on that, because we're having a discussion and I think from my standpoint, sitting on this board, I would like the tools and the data to then go back and say, hey, here's what's happening in our region, and here's why. And we need to do something about this, and then talk to our neighbors, our neighboring municipalities, so we can have, continuous paths or whatever it is that we need. But, if we can have those tools, I think it would, each of us could be stronger in our own place, and then together we can work it out, and which is, I think, what we all are here for. Anybody else? Bruce?
I think a factor in working into these statistics that hasn't been mentioned yet is the total population over which within which these accidents, quote unquote, are occurring. If the increase in population is greater than the percentage increase in the injuries and fatalities, actually the percentage of these injuries and fatalities over the population may possibly be going down. So there may be some indication, some information in that statistic that suggests that what has been done in the cause of making our roads and walkways safer may actually be working, and perhaps should be ramped up. But then again, maybe not. But I think that's a factor that's missing in consideration here. So perhaps that may have been considered in the larger study. That's not presented here, but I think it should be.
That's a very good point. And we've had that, other committees brought that up about having that framework up front about sort of the background on population. We do track the VMT, so we have rates, which is another indicator of how we can see that. When it comes to non-motorized fatalities and serious injuries, though, really a way of making it equal, I guess, in a rate is with population totals. So I'll make sure I have that in the next presentation.
Craig?
Yes, another thing I would like to see is where these fatalities and serious injuries are happening and what are the characteristics of those roadways, so that we can be able to compare. So are they happening more on a 6-lane roadway versus a 4-lane roadway? What are the speed limits? And what is the context around those roadways? That would be very helpful as well, especially as we are making improvements on the system. So how do we compare those improvements that we are making to other systems? So if there's a roadway that has just a 5-foot bike lane, are there more conflicts with that 5-foot bike lane versus a roadway with a buffered bike lane?
Oh, Tracy?
Yeah, we can't be too quick just to blame it on more traffic. I brought up one of the DOT's permanent count stations on I-95. I think it was between Delray and Boynton. And that in 2013 and 2014 were fatalities. And even though the count station's on I-95, usually these numbers correspond with the sides, with arterials, also the percentages of traffic. In 2013, 2014, you had 180,000 vehicles per day. on I-95 at that location. And we had 100 in 130s fatalities. In 2020 and 2019, you had 190s. The miles or the volumes was 190s in the 190s. So you had like maybe a 5% increase in traffic, but yet we have a 50% increase in fatalities. So there's something going on. I'd like to know why. What were we doing something back in 2013 and 2014 that made it better than it is now? I mean, there's something going on other than more vehicles on the road. Is it because more out of state people are driving and they don't know how to drive in Florida? Whereas us people who's lived there 30 years, we know everybody's crazy on the roads. And so we kind of know how traffic is. I mean, we just can't say more vehicles, more people. There's something else going on here because the numbers don't match up as far as volumes versus the amount of fatalities. Now, but that's something I would like to have some of. That's some, like he said, I like his answer. You know, locations. I would like to. There's some other reasons. We just can't be general and blame it on more traffic or more volume on the roads.
JC, sorry.
I was just wondering what serious injuries was defined as.
Sure, those are all incapacitating injuries. So I think it's ones where you can't, like, you aren't able to leave like on your own accord, right? So I think you'd have to have like transport to the hospital or yeah. So incapacitating.
Because I know there are a lot of incidents that occur that people don't even report. So, and there's another trend too. People are going off the road to be safe because I know a lot of people that have been impacted by cars, but they just are abandoning A1A and taking to the trails and going on gravel roads instead. Gravel biking is really popular now. So, thank you.
Fadi.
Yeah.
Oh,
Do you want to go ahead?
No, I was gonna make a motion.
Okay. Yeah, as I mentioned before, we are in the process right now to summarize the data for 2021. I mean, we look at everything, including intersection, but particularly for the fatalities of pedestrian and bicycle, we're looking at the time this happens. We're looking at, you know, what the cause is. We're also going to be look at basically what the action of both, you know, the pedestrian and the driver. So as you mentioned, Tracy, you know, we would try to figure out not only where they happened, but under what conditions, and if there's any kind of pattern that we can identify. From the previous evaluation we did, a lot of them happened very late at night. Somebody just crossing the middle of the road, you know, and basically, you know, kind of just walk in front of a car, not paying attention. But we want to be very specific. We want to go and evaluate all of these and provide a more detailed evaluation of these fatal crashes.
Brian.
So I'll close with a comment and maybe with the motion. You know, I look at this and I take it from a higher level view. When I look at the TPA, I look to it for leadership when it comes to these types of things, but it also puts it in a very difficult position because it manages exactly 0 miles of roadway in the county. And so while they are providing leadership, they also have to give us a mirror and ask us as, you know, staff for our cities and our county, what we're doing. So in terms of what we want from the TPA, I think that I would put forward a motion to adopt this item simply because I think we need to continue to have the TPA provide that leadership and have a target of 0 so that the staff can continue the work that they've been doing for so long. While the metrics are difficult and while I think that we can do a deeper dive into them, I think it's important to adopt these safety standards and to have them continue to provide all of the work that they've been doing. And this is, I think, you know, Vision Zero has only come about in the past few years. So I think everyone's still kind of figuring it out. But I think having the TPA be this kind of leader with 0 for the whole county and for all of its municipalities is important. So with that, I make a motion to adopt.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second the motion. I just want one clarification that the resolution's being changed to update the performance measures for Palm Tran to reflect the greater than, less than, all of that you reflected in your slide.
Yes, yep.
Okay,
Okay.
I'll second the motion.
So I have Brian making the motion, John second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against? Okay, so the motion passes unanimously. And we can move on to our potential new name. The next item is an amendment to section 5 of the TPA's operating procedures. And Alyssa is going to present this item.
So a lot of you might remember this was brought to you guys back in October. It has been quite some time. But what we had discussed, well, we'll dive into it a little bit. So this is to modify the TPA committees to support TPA initiatives. This was something that, let's go to the next slide. This was something that was a direct request by the governing board. There had previously been discussion to, in line with our goals and objectives as an agency, create a Vision Zero action or advisory committee. At the time, the discussion kind of went the way of, well, we already have a bicycle pedestrian advisory committee. They already look at all of the safety initiatives. There we go. So what can we do instead of having a duplication of the committee we already have? So the proposal was to modify this committee to actually reflect Vision Zero in the name. When we came to you in October, we had presented it as the Pedestrian Bicycle Safety Committee. But since that conversation had ensued, kind of talking about, do we create a new committee? Do we just change the existing committee to reflect what we're already looking at, which is really safety for non-motorized users? So that is what we're going to discuss today. So the changes that, thank you. So the changes that I'm explaining in front of you today really will only ensure that this committee reflects a broad cross-section of pedestrian and bicycle safety advocates and people who really work in the field and can, speak on behalf of the safety. The main change would actually just be changing Bicycle Trailways Pedestrian Advisory Committee name, BTPAC, to the Vision Zero Advisory Committee, or the VZAC. And again, you can see on the screen that this is an item in our strategic plan, and the item 6B reads, modify TPA committees to support TPA initiatives. So the draft changes to the committee's role, it doesn't take anything away. It really only adds to it. And the language that you see on the screen is what it is. So updates the VZAC, or right now BTPAC, role to advance those elements of the TPA's Vision Zero action plan oriented around pedestrian and bicycle safety. That's the new language in there. We're keeping and to address all other matters and concerns when directed by the TPA. So as a committee, we already really look at all of the safety aspects of pedestrian and bicycle safety. So we're just really adding that language into our operating procedures to make sure that is the focus, which is already what we do. The committee function, I'll run through it. Nothing is changing though. So just to talk through it a little bit, we are still going to review transportation alternative projects. We're still going to be able to re-rank them, so no worries there. We will continue having all long-range transportation plan, priority project list, transportation improvement project or improvement plan, and unified work program material presented to us. We will still have a voice in all of that. All other TPA-led transportation plans, studies, reports, all of that will still come to us. We will still have a voice for all of that. Transportation plans, studies, reports, projects presented both by TPA and partner agencies such as FDOT and any other entities that are our partners, we will still have a voice in all of that. The same with regional transportation studies, plans, reports, projects, all of that, and any other items that are deemed a good topic for us, both by the TPA governing board, staff, or the Vision Zero Action Committee, Advisory Committee, we will be able to talk on behalf of all of that still. A new thing, in addition to the name change, the only other thing that will really change in this is the committee structure. So this proposal does not actually remove any existing members. We want you all to stay. We love working with you and having you and your voices on this committee. This will just give us the opportunity to add some new members, some members that have some really important input when it comes to safety of our existing transportation system. This includes additional local governments. We can now invite in, CRAs, DDAs, health departments, law enforcement entities, fire rescue services, the school district, and other aspects. We know we already have school district on this committee, active transportation advocacy groups. So more bicycle advocacy groups. We really want those users to have a voice in this committee. Additionally, any other entities that are deemed appropriate by the TPA governing board. So overall, the two major changes to this are the changes to the name. So again, really directing us to focus on what we're already doing, but again, with that safety lens, and then adding additional members onto the committee that would help us really further what we do and provide additional insight. That is it for my presentation.
Okay, thanks, Alyssa. Do we have any public comment on this, Margie?
I'm just double checking.
Okay.
No, Madam Chair.
Okay. Okay, Fadi.
I'm all for additional emphasis on safety and adding more members that are, expert in safety. My only concern is that renaming it as Vision Zero almost sound like this is the main function of the committee. And, when we say about bicycle, trailway, and pedestrian, it's much more comprehensive name. It means connectivity, it means improving, the physical facilities, trailways. So I just feel that while I approve, adding those additional emphasis, I think the existing name probably is a bit more descriptive of what we do.
So in response to that really quickly, again, we're still focusing on all of these facilities. It's just really pointing us in the direction of looking at it with a safety lens. That is, we are a Vision Zero agency now. We are encouraging our municipalities to pick up Vision Zero, and it's still, we're not going to be looking at anything differently. We're still, focused on the non-motorized aspects of the system. But again, it's just reiterating that we are looking at this with a safety lens. We have seen quite a few other similar agencies around the country are starting to change their names for their BPACs or BTPACs, or, they have similar but different names all over the country. And they are starting to rename in terms of Vision Zero, just because it is really, a national initiative that we are trying to do. We're trying to, similar to the last conversation that we just had, aim for zero and create a network that is safe. So it's really, again, just refocusing. We're still looking at all the same stuff, but it's just, we're putting on our safety hats and kind of looking at all of it more in that type of realm. But like I said, this is something that is becoming quickly a very big national best practice. And there are quite a few other agencies that have adopted similar committees. And again, this was a discussion by the TPA governing board in terms of, do we create a new committee to focus on Vision Zero, or do we let the committee that is already doing this pretty much just rename it to meet our goals and objectives of an agency?
Jean.
I think we can focus on Vision Zero while retaining our name. For a lay person, if they click on and they go, what exactly does this Vision Zero advisory committee do? They're going to go scratch their head, go, we don't know. But then they go bicycle, trails, ways, pedestrian advisory committee. If they're looking to talk to somebody about a bike ped issue, they're going to go, oh, that's the person I talked to. So I have no problems incorporating the Vision Zero within our group, but I do have a very strong problem with renaming it.
Joanna.
I agree with what Jean did mention. I think Vision Zero, in the health world, we speak constantly about language being an important part of how we get the community involved and to understand the work. And I agree that this bicycle trailway pedestrian committee, rather than Vision Zero is not in the vernacular of community members quite yet. And that doesn't mean it might not be in the future. I was also going to mention, I think of several years ago now, probably 3, the TPA put on that Vision Zero training. I wonder as a part, if that could be incorporated as a future training or opportunity to kind of expand the exposure of Vision Zero to additional community members too, or, officials or government people, because I imagine I'm also kind of struggling Vision Zero. What would the ultimate focus on? Because I don't live and breathe it every day either. So the training might be more helpful to get it more relevant and understanding for the community as well.
Thank you, David.
I completely agree with Fadi and Jean. I think we should emphasize safety, and I believe we always have. It's just changing it to Vision Zero. That term isn't generally known to the public, and bicycle, pedestrian, trailways, it's self-explanatory. So if the public is looking for a group to advocate for those activities, they're going to look for bicycle, pedestrian, trailway. Vision Zero, I mean, it's well known to us. It's not well known to the public. So it just seems like it's, I don't know, making things just a little bit more difficult for the public.
Jean, you wanted to add something to that?
I do. And I think Vision Zero incorporates not only bike ped facility things, it is Palmtran, it's trains, it's I-95, it's very broad. It's all methods of transportation. And we really don't focus on accidents, car accidents and wrong way crashes on I-95. We focus on bike ped. That's why I think it's very important we keep our name.
Okay. Brian?
Sure. So with respect to the 2 items that result from this, I think it's important to obviously support the expansion of the committee to represent the overall need and focus that we are providing on. But I also, I draw back on the votes that we've taken with respect to ranking projects and increasing the, the safety and numbers element with respect to the Boca Raton lighting project. We want to make sure that people are given safe, comfortable, convenient facilities at all hours. But I also look at the interplay of our transportation system. You can't just look at projects from the perspective of a bicycle, pedestrian, trails. I think we have to start thinking about how all of the systems work together. And I think that while we are not shifting our purpose in its entirety, I think the name change is appropriate, considering the safety targets that we're going after. And I know that it might be a little bit difficult for the public to chew on, but I don't know about anybody on this committee, but no one's ever reached out to me and said, hey, you're my representative on the BTPAC committee, and I want you to do this. Most of my comments and inquiries come directly because they're citizenry of Delray Beach, and they want to know who to get in touch with their respective government. So it's not necessarily through the TPA, it's more so through my individual contacts. So I'm not sure if Stephanie, you've ever had the experience as the chair or heard of that before, but just in my experience, no one's ever reached out to me as a BitPAC representative. Thank you.
Joanna, do you have another comment?
I'm trying to formulate what my question is, but and maybe I need to go back and view some of the previous governing board meetings, but was the governing board asking for the Vision Zero Advisory Committee? And, there was a stark difference, and you all just kind of figured out how we can make it work with both, or really it was just the expansion to include additional advocates that represent Vision Zero?
Sure. So this was part of our board adopted Vision Zero action plan, and one of their asks to have a Vision Zero advisory committee. The roles and responsibilities of that committee would be the same as BTPAC. So it would be redundant to have 2 of the same committees. And to answer some of the concerns that happen, I mean, most of the time when someone has a question or concern for pedestrian, bicycle, any specific question, Okay. They typically do, find me on the internet and reach out to me, and then I'm the person that directs them to the city. It's, a fairly easy search. If you're looking up ped bike safety person in Palm Beach County, my title throws me at the top of that list. So I that is definitely a point to be made there. But Joanna, to really answer your question, it would be the same as what we do. So it would be redundant to have two of the same committees. So, changing the name to be more in line with what we are trying to achieve as an agency, as our governing board has adopted, the name is for that reason.
Just one thing I'm curious about is, I mean, we've all, based upon the previous item and so forth, I mean, Vision Zero is the goal. I mean, right? So that's what we're striving to. And I mean, the pedestrian bicycle fatalities goal that we just previously approved is only one of the measures. There's 4 other ones that, we've strived for 0 on. So the question is has this been discussed with any of the other committees in terms of their renaming or their change of makeup or what have you, because they should be having the Vision Zero goal as well as part of their scope. I'm just concerned that the focus on pedestrian and bicyclists and alternative modes that we were brought here to review and comment on and so forth could potentially get watered out and watered down from by changing this and going forward. So, for example, is the technical advisory committee being renamed, to reflect Vision Zero as well? Because that obviously should be their goal.
Sure. So all of our committees, we all have the same goal in mind for Vision Zero. Like I said, our agency has adopted Vision Zero policy, and we push that in everything we strive to accomplish. Now, both technical advisory committee and the committee or citizen advisory committee are, required for our agency. So we cannot change the names for that. At BTPAC is not actually a required committee. There are MPOs around the state that don't necessarily have a BTPAC, really only the big 7, and a couple other ones do. So on that, we do have more room and flexibility in our committee makeup structure, what we try to achieve, and ultimately the name. BTPAC is not a name that is required. Like I said, this committee is not required statewide. But we are the only BTPAC in the state of Florida. We are actually, I think, one of the few BTPACs with even trails in our title at all in the entire country. So this committee has the flexibility to do so and kind of refocus on safety. Again, we would still stay on safety of non-motorized users of the system because that is what we do. We are the non-motorized committee, pretty much. But we do have the room in our operating procedures and in our role to change the name to reflect that.
Okay. Bruce?
So far, I agree with everybody. And I think maybe just to cut to the chase here, we call this BTPAC a Vision Zero Advisory Committee and have the Vision Zero be the umbrella heading for all the advisory committees as a TPA ordained entity. That's all.
David? Oh, okay. Tracy?
I know I'm not part of the particular group / committee here in Palm Beach County, but I was up in Seminole County. And I know they're not part of the TPA, but the county does have a group similar to what this is describing, and it's called the Community Traffic Safety Team. Again, I'm not familiar with the process down here, but I know in Seminole County we had everything that slide said: police, fire, community activists, health department. That community traffic safety team, whose main focus and goal was safety, had all those type of members. So the county probably actually has a committee very similar to what you're asking this committee, what the name change would ask this committee to do. How you incorporate it into, you would incorporate them into this committee, I am not sure, but there should be a committee already looking at safety for all modes of transportation, and it should be the Palm Beach County Community Traffic Safety Team.
If I could quickly jump in on that. So Palm Beach County does have a CTST or Community Traffic Safety Team. This is an organization or a committee that is actually organized through FDOT District 4. It is mainly law enforcement and representation. We do have, I sit on it, and in my absence, we do have another staff member who sits on it and participates on it. It is mainly a group for the people at agencies like ours to really have this communication with the law enforcement officers. And we do communicate with them a lot, but they don't focus so much on this. They focus more so on outreach for specific initiatives like drinking and driving, alert today, alive tomorrow, all of that. So they really try to push out an emphasis on that instead. So more so campaigns that are going on. We do attend their quarterly meetings and share what they're doing. And, if we do move forward with this and expand our board, that is likely where we would be pulling at least some law enforcement officials from. But it is not, they do not do what we do as a board. It's a little different. They more so focus on, district-wide campaigns, safety campaigns, how to best work with the local officials to spread that out.
Okay, it sounds different than the one I served on. We did that, and we did technical aspects and tried to come up with solutions to some problems they had all around the Seminole County. So, and we did the drunken driving things, mock DUIs and all that stuff up there. So, but I just thought we already have it. We have a committee like that, and it'd probably be easier on everybody. And because I agree with everybody else that have said this is bicycle trail race pedestrians. And there's a whole, vehicle traffic is not our main emphasis. So, and that's a big part of Vision Zero. So like everybody, I don't need to repeat what everybody else says, but I agree with what they say.
Okay,
They said.
great. Okay, Fadi, and then I'll go ahead.
I liked what Bruce suggested. Maybe we can add it. It's going to be a longer name, but at least be more descriptive. That's Vision Zero, but at the same time, it's also bike, pedestrian, and trailway.
I've heard everybody, and I originally expressed concerns with Alyssa when we talked yesterday. I think part of it is because of one, we've been used to the name bicycle pedestrian, and it's very descriptive. But on the other hand, when I listen to Brian, and it's like, well, what is my role? What is your role on this committee? And Brian's right. I don't use this committee is for me to bring back to my community and help spread the word and to share so that we can all learn from each other and hopefully make impact in our region. So that was the one thing that I do agree it's not descriptive enough, but it's not part of our vernacular yet. And I think that's the key, is that it's not part of our vernacular yet. So thinking in mind of what we're doing here, I think it actually elevates what we do by bringing in safety experts like the police, fire, those folks who are out on the streets doing this, and it brings a different perspective and an energy that I believe need, because some of us like me, I mean, I'm an advocate for bicycle pedestrian safety, but I'm also a mother and my husband won't let me get on the road and ride my bike to work because he's right. I might get hit like the lady who I just found out got hit on her bike. And we're in a very safe community. So what is it that we're doing here? So we're trying to elevate all of this, educate people. And I think the Vision Zero name could be changed a little bit. Maybe it's Vision Zero Safety Advisory Committee, because what we're doing isn't just bicycle and pedestrian. We make comments on intersection improvements, changes, how we get around. So we're not just bicycle pedestrian. And I think I actually think it elevates this committee and makes us richer if we look at Vision Zero and we try to embrace that. And if that's the motion of like a national vision going to this new term, Vision Zero, then we'll be cutting edge, folks. So that's my point. I think if we can just maybe add a little bit like Fadi and Bruce suggest, maybe it doesn't need to be, it gets so long when you say bicycle pedestrian, but I don't think we're limited to bicycle pedestrian because we're multimodal and we want a safe way to transport our bodies around. So, if we can maybe think about that, maybe it's a Vision Zero Safety Advisory Committee, or I like the safety. I do like bike ped. I just don't know. It gets really wordy. And, but I think everybody has a really good points, but changes here. So I think we need to embrace it a little bit. Do we have a motion? Okay, Jean, I didn't know.
I like the name too, Vision Zero Bicycle Trailway Pedestrian Advisory Committee, and I would support that. However, could we shorten it just slightly by taking out trailways and change it to Vision Zero Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Committee? And that way we meet the goals of what the TPA wants with the Vision Zero, but we also let people know we are on a bike ped advisory committee. And I have had people come to me and say, hey, I see you're on a bike ped advisory committee, and ask me questions. So I've had many people reach out to me. But they wouldn't reach out if I was a Vision Zero, because they'd go, I don't know what that is. And so they might reach out to me and say, hey, what about the wrong way drivers on I-95? And I'd go, I don't know. I'd refer them to the TPA. So that would be my suggestion.
Okay. Alyssa, what is your suggestion of how we should proceed here?
So my suggestion is still in line with the staff suggestion that is before us, because Vision Zero does have a strong emphasis on pedestrian and bicycle safety. I personally think that the VZBPAC, sorry, I had to write it down. It's a very long acronym and would get very confusing in conversation. And I do think, we do a fairly good job of specifying on our website, the breakdown of what all of the committees focuses on, what they encompass, all of the goals, objectives, everything. So this is my recommendation and preference. Now, ultimately, I cannot tell the committee how to vote. And I cannot make suggestions, it's ultimately up to you all. But that is my suggestion, because again, Vision Zero, yes, the focus of it is to achieve 0 fatalities, 0 serious injuries, and that is the goal. There is a very, very heavy focus on that for pedestrian and bicycle safety. When I go to all of my Vision Zero Coalition meetings, because I do sit on the Vision Zero Coalition team for the state, we only talk about pedestrian and bicycle safety and the fatalities and serious injuries related to that. We don't talk about car crashes or transit crashes or incidents or anything like that. We have a very strict focus on pedestrian bicycle safety. So for that reason, I really do think, just having it as the VZAC or Vision Zero Advisory Committee should be sufficient. I do hear all of the concerns of everyone. I understand them, but this is ultimately what I would suggest. I do also understand, change is hard. We've dealt with change as this committee before, and it is challenging to kind of make these types of decisions. I understand that. I respect that. But this is a great opportunity for us to make this change. Now is a great time to do it. We would be, honestly, I really do think that other people in the state would probably try to start copying us and talk about us and, how innovative we are for starting this off and having the first Vision Zero Action or Advisory Committee in Florida. But
Okay. Do we have a motion? Brian?
So I was gonna put forward a motion just as a starting place to recommend.
Brian, I'm sorry, can you move it closer for me?
Sure.
Thank you.
Sorry. Motion to recommend approval of amendment to section 5 of the TPA's operating procedures as presented.
Okay. Do we have a second for that?
Michael Owens, I'll second it so we can move it, so we can discuss it.
Okay, so should we have discussion? We should have discussion.
Can I make an alternative motion? Or do we?
You can make a substitute motion.
I'd like to make a substitute motion to modify as recommended, with the exception that the new name will be Vision Zero Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Committee.
And I would second that motion if I can.
That's a motion by Jean, seconded by David. Do you have discussion on that? Shall we might need to roll call that one.
Yes. So if there's no discussion, I can call the roll when you're ready.
That would be on the substitute
Yes,
motion.
because that one takes the floor. So the substitute motion, as I put it on the screen, Jean, is to recommend approval of amendment to section 5 of the TPA's operating procedures with the change to name the committee to Vision Zero Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Committee, or VZPAC. BAC, my bad.
Oh.
Did I get that
But
wrong?
BP, see, that's the thing, it's the VizBpac. Okay, I'm just saying.
If you're ready, Madam Chair.
Well, I'd like to have a little discussion on this because it is a little, I get it. I understand. I like the Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Committee in there, Vision Zero. I'm just not sure if I'm sold on the safety. I mean, because I think safety is really what we're talking about, Vision Zero is synonymous with being safe. It just gets really long and wordy. And I actually think, and I'm the chair, so I shouldn't be making a motion, but Vision Zero Safety Advisory Committee, VZSAC, is a little bit better, but let's just see where this goes. So
Fadi with his.
Fadi.
I know safety is an important part what we do, but it's not the only thing we do. As I mentioned, connectivity of bike network, the type of bike facilities, all of these are something that we consider. And as far as the name, I think it's original. I like it.
Okay. All right, so Jean makes the motion, seconded by David. And could we do roll call, please?
Yes, Madam Chair. And for the members present, you do need at least 8 members in favor for the motion to pass.
Okay.
Tracy Phelps,
No.
Bruce Rosenzweig,
Yes.
Craig Pinder,
Yes.
Ted Goodenough will be marked as absent, Joanna Paluso,
No.
Joanne Scaria,
No.
Fadi Nassar,
Yes.
J.C. Berry,
Yes.
David Willock,
Yes.
Jean Matthews.
Yes.
Thank you. Yash Nagal,
No.
Michael Owens,
Yes.
Christian Santa Gonzalez. I'm sorry, can you do that again? Oh, okay. Can you please? For the record, Madam Chair, Christian voted yes. John Roach,
Yes.
Brian Rusher,
No.
Stephanie Thoburn.
I'm going to say no, since you guys won. I wanted to make sure you guys can get the vote, but I wanted to say my piece. I don't want to do something against the board. I said my piece, but I don't want to be out there an outlier, but I appreciate the discussion. It's very good. Very good discussion. Thank you, everyone.
And for the record, Madam Chair, it does pass 9-6.
Yes. Thank you. Okay, next item. We're still doing good. It's 10:40. We have information items. So Jason Price, TPA tip coordinator, is going to present this item.
Now shifting gears back to the performance measures and carrying forward the conversation that Andrew initiated and presented as an action item. Today, I'm going to present some of the highlights of the TPA's 2021 performance measures report card. The performance measure report card can be found on our TPA's website, and I'll cover that at the end of this presentation on the final slide. So to begin, just ask the question of why do we have performance measures? We're a federally designated organization, and in light of that, we're required to report and adopt federal measures that are required for this as a federal agency, as a federally funded agency. In addition, FDOT and the state DOT also fall in line, and they also adopt and report performance measures in line with FHWA. As an agency, all of the performance measures that you see are adopted into our 2045 long-range transportation plan, and they also impact and reflect and are incorporated into our transportation improvement program, and that incorporates the vision, the TPA's vision of a safe, efficient, connected, multimodal transportation system. Now, the TPA's goals are how the scorecard and the performance measures are structured and organized on our website for preserved, safe, efficient, connected, and multimodal. So you'll see those terms reoccurring when you go to our performance measures dashboard and website. And with that, I'll give you some of the performance measure highlights that stand out. And the first one is probably the most significant one and was alluded to previously, and that's specifically for transit and the amount of transit vehicles that are exceeding useful life. As Palm Trans staff had mentioned, they rolled out over 100 buses over the course of last year, and so that significantly improved their fleet from 46.5% exceeding useful life to 9.2. And so, that's the impact of having over 100 new buses in your fleet, and they reached their target goal of under 10% by doing so. Now, the rest of the highlights are consequences of the coronavirus pandemic, and they had a significant impact on travel throughout Palm Beach County. And so some of those impacts were actually positive impacts for the environment, at least for daily fuel use per person and daily vehicle miles traveled per person. Those had improved because there was less travel on the roadway. And so, the environment benefits by not having as many vehicles on the roadway. And so you see some positive impacts. However, there's also other impacts as well, and that's a reliability. And this is also a positive impact in that traveling throughout the interstate and non-interstate transportation system has increased with reliability, with there being less people commuting to work and getting around the county. The system becomes more reliable because there's fewer cars and it's easier to travel on both the interstate and non-interstate. And you can see from 2019 to 2020 on the interstate system, in particular, the strategic intermodal system like I-95 and the Turnpike, reliability had increased significantly from 78% in 2019 to 94% in 2020. Now, going back to transit, they were impacted in a way to where their passenger trips per revenue hour were impacted because they had either operating less service or they had less ridership due to this coronavirus pandemic, and seeing the impacts of that, of not being able to operate fully or just not having the same kind of ridership due to just the overall impacts of reluctance to either use the service or the change in the dynamics of the workforce to where you're doing a hybrid workforce or just working remotely completely. So you would no longer be using these services. And so those are additional impacts. And these are just the highlights of all of what we measure for the performance measures. And to get all of the details and all of the information for the different metrics that we cover, we have a website right on our website, palmbeachtpa.org/PM. PM is for performance measures. When you go to that particular page, you'll see our scorecard, and that scorecard will give you all of the metrics, and they're highlighted in blue. If you can see it on the screen, they're all underlined. When you click on each one of these metrics, that'll take you to our dashboard and give you additional information to know more about what is being measured, the methodology on how the data is being collected and utilized and presented in either a graphical format, or in some cases, there'll be a map that'll show you where the locations are, where this performance measure information, kind of lies geographically. So that's the information that I have for you today for the performance measure scorecard. And if there's any questions, I can answer them.
Margie, do we have any public comments?
No, Madam Chair.
Okay, anybody have any comments, questions on this item? Okay. Oh, Joanna.
For the pavement markers that you showed there, is that just roadways or is there sidewalks in that?
It is the roadway pavement.
Roadway pavement, okay.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, so then the next item is about Florida Bicycle Month, and Alyssa's gonna speak to us about that briefly.
No, I promise to be short and hopefully get you guys out of here by 11. We have about 10 minutes. So a lot of you might be familiar with this already, but March is Florida Bicycle Month. So it is a very exciting time of the year, especially for this committee. So a little bit about the initiatives that we are, okay, there we go. Oh, okay. We are taking on and encouraging this year. So similar to previous years, we are really encouraging our municipalities to adopt Florida Bike Month proclamations. The municipalities on the screen are those that have done so in previous years. Last year, we totaled 13, which was great because it was a jump from previous year of 12. Now, this does include both our proclamation as well as the Board of County Commissioners proclamation. But there are 11 municipalities on there, including Boca Raton, Boynton Beach, Delray Beach, Green Acres, Jupiter, Lake Park, Palm Beach Gardens, Palm Springs, Royal Palm Beach, Wellington, and West Palm Beach. If you are not on there, I would love to see you on there this year. I have a personal goal set to hit 15 proclamations, and I really hope we can achieve that. So if your municipality that you work for is not on here, I'd love to see it on here. If the municipality you live in, might not work in, is not on here, maybe let me know and I can do some reaching out because I would really love to see more people doing Florida Bike Month proclamations. And we do have sample proclamations available. I'd be more than happy to share one with you as well. So on to Bicycle Month activities. If you or your municipality are hosting any Bicycle Month activities, be it a ride, a super fun day, a rodeo, anything, please let us know. We'd be more than happy to promote it, put it on our calendar, share it on social media, and even have staff attend. The things you see on the screen are really just flyers from past years' activities. West Palm Beach hosts an annual Bike to Work Week, which is actually going to be coinciding with our their week is going to be our bike ride, which is great. Village of Palm Springs usually hosts a super fun day. Palm Beach County usually hosts a couple of rodeos, as well as other municipalities. So please, if you guys are hosting anything or know of anything going on, let me know so that way we can help share the news and get more people there. And you've seen this slide every year. This is our walkbikepalmbeach.com calendar. We do keep this updated with all of the events that are going on. You do have the ability from the public facing side to both add your own events or reach out to me, and I would be more than happy to make sure it is reflected on our calendar. This is a calendar that is posted on our website. Everyone can see it. So it's a great opportunity, great way to spread the news and get more people to attend your events. So this year we are going to be hosting another webinar series for Florida Bike Month. This is going to kick off on Thursday, March 3rd. I'm going to be leading a webinar on safe bicycling. We'll cover the rules of the road, the ABC check, helmet fittings, all of the important things, the elements for, being a cyclist and riding safely. Then on Wednesday, March 9th, I am pleased to say that we are going to be working with our partners, the Dutch Cycling Embassy, and we are going to have the author of Building Cycling Cities, Chris Brentlet, come speak on behalf of his book, kind of talk about the policies behind how to really build a cycling city and get that infrastructure going and get the buy-in. So that's going to be a really fantastic webinar. And then lastly, on Tuesday, March 15th, we are going to be working with Decisio, another one of our partner agencies, international partner agencies, actually. And this webinar is going to be on bikeonomics and really, how adding bicycle infrastructure will benefit the economics of a community, the local economy. So this is going to be a really great webinar, really honestly a good one for especially the, elected officials and staff that don't always see the benefits to adding this sort of infrastructure. So really good to tune in on. We do have the registration for all 3 of these webinars posted on our website, on our Walk Bike Palm Beach page. And it will be sent out to everyone on the committees as well and shared on social media. If you have any questions about this, any issues with registration, anything at all, please reach out to me and I would be more than happy to assist. Okay. And then finally, we will be hosting our TPA annual group ride. West Palm Beach is doing their Bike to Work week this week, the week of the 7th to the 11th, and we will be finishing off with our ride will be coinciding with their ride, ending at City Hall for their block party. But this is about a 3.5-mile ride. It takes about 30 minutes and it's around downtown West Palm Beach. It will highlight quite a few just popular destinations in the city, which is going to be really interesting. And we would just love to have everyone join us. If you do need a bike, we will have some available, first come, first serve, and we will have shirts available, but we will have like a very limited number. So please try to bring your own if you are joining. If you have any questions, concerns, you would like to come, any of it, reach out to me and I will make sure you are registered and good to go. And with that, I will take any questions if there are any.
Do we have any public comment, Margie?
No, Madam Chair, but you do have Tracy with his card and David, I think. Oh, and John.
Tracy?
I don't
David, and
have a
then
question. I just, I'm sure all 3 of those webinars are going to be awesome. But I worked with Alyssa on with the Dutch Cycling Embassy on another issue, and those guys are amazing. It's amazing what they're doing over there. So that would be something you probably don't want to miss if you can make it.
Great. David?
And I just want to make the comment, there were none of the Glades cities involved. Maybe approach them. There's a lot of bicycling out there. I mean, just as a matter of necessity sometimes. And maybe they don't know all the safety rules and stuff like that. So it wouldn't be a bad idea to approach them.
Sure, and I will be actually reaching out to my counterpart or similar counterpart at all of the municipalities to kind of see what's going on, including the Glades region. And I guess now would be a great time to actually also say that the city of South Bay has reached out to me for a walking audit, which is the first one in the Glades region. So everything that we are doing out here is definitely reaching them, but I will be sure to make sure that they know about this and we get any events that they may be hosting end up on our calendar as well.
John?
Just to let you know that our proclamation is scheduled to go to the commission on the 22nd. So we'll forward that to you once it's done, and then also give you any of the events associated with that. So
Great. Sounds good. Yeah, we're planning our proclamation. Since we've done it in previous years, it makes it super easy to do it again, and hope to have Alyssa come out and invite her to accept the proclamation as well. Anything else? We have administrative items that we're not going to go through.
I
Margie?
do have one item on your administrative items. I noted it for the other committee, so I'll note it for you as well.
Okay.
So previously your 2020 or your annual calendar, so this year, your 2022 calendar, the dates are actually adopted by by the governing board. So if there's any change you would like to make to those dates, it would need to go back to the governing board for adoption. And I did want to note as well that in October, you do have a date change. We did move our meetings back a week to accommodate the Jewish holidays. So it's going to be the second Thursday in October. And then you do have Jean with her 10 card.
At what meeting will we be ranking the projects for grant funding?
That I have to check. That's I think that's April. The applications are due. A lot of you have met with us for pre-application meetings, actually. The applications are due in 2 weeks, February 18th. We will be submitting them over to DOT on March 1st or by March 1st, in the whole vetting process. So expect April to be the BTPAC meeting. And I will
Okay.
share that all with you.
And we have a lot of new members. It's fun. We give out like $3.2 million in grant funding. We get to rank the presentations. We hear a brief presentation from everybody applying for grants and then have kind of questions and answers and then discussion, but plan on being here longer. Like clear your schedule, because you can't rank one. If you're in, you're all in or you're all out. You can't leave part way. So just mark your calendar that you should plan to be here longer.
So on what Jean said, for those members who have not been with us either long enough or did not attend last year, normally for this April meeting, we will have our regularly scheduled BTPAC meeting in the morning, break for lunch, go our separate ways, and then regroup in that early afternoon right after lunch. And then we will spend the afternoon reviewing projects, have some of the applicants come in for presentations if they so choose, and then we will do the scoring. So it is expect that April meeting to be all day. So that is it.
Okay. I'm going to try this out. So our next meeting is March 3rd, 2022 for the Vision Zero BPAC. Right? Sounds good. All right. I think that's it. And we'll see you next month.